Hello everyone. Today we shall discuss about Aurangzeb. Now Aurangzeb was the son of Shah Jahan. If you remember, in the previous class we discussed about Shah Jahan, and Shah Jahan had 4 sons, and among them was Aurangzeb. Now Aurangzeb ascended the throne in the year 1658 AD. Now, it was not easy for Aurangzeb to come and occupy the throne because he had other 3 contenders, his 3 brothers. Because at that time, the Mughal, they did not have any law of succession. So, whenever a king dies, there used to be war of succession. And likewise, after Shah Jahan's death, or before his death, when he was ill actually, so there was war of succession. And then in this war of succession, Aurangzeb defeated his 3 brothers and sat on the throne. Aurangzeb was a very great military commander. Now, when his father was the king, he was appointed as the governor of Deccan, and the post he held up to the year 1644. Now, soon after, Aurangzeb became the king, and he ruled a vast empire for the largest number of years. And the Mughal Empire under Aurangzeb included almost the entire present India. But when he was the king, it was not a smooth ride for him. Because of his several reforms and policy, he had to face many rebellion, and for which much of his time he spent in putting down or suppressing those rebellions in many parts of the empire. Now, like his predecessors, Aurangzeb also continued his policy of expansion. He invaded Arakan in the year 1666 AD. Now, Arakan now falls or is situated in the country Burma. Then in the year 1662, Aurangzeb also advanced towards Assam, and he was also successful to reach a place that is Gargaon in Assam. At the time, Gargaon was the capital of Assam, and he was able to capture the capital of Assam. But soon, because of the monsoon season, almost all of the country, that is Assam, was flooded, and his communication was cut off. And for that reason, many of his men and commanders and soldiers were starved to death. And as a result, his expedition towards Assam, or his expedition to Assam, failed. Now we will discuss about Aurangzeb's policy. Now, when Aurangzeb came and sat on the throne, he had introduced several policies. The first one is that he had a strict control over his governors, so that he could maintain peace and order. Then second, what he did was he abolished around 90 illegal taxes. He also ordered strict control in terms of gambling and drinking. That is, he ordered that the people have to control when it comes to gambling and drinking. Also, he passed orders where Muslim have to keep fast during Ramzan. So these are few reforms which Aurangzeb brought about after he sat on the throne. Now, Aurangzeb's relation with other rulers were not very friendly, and the main reason was because of his religious policy. Now, what was his religious policy? Now, Aurangzeb was an Orthodox Sunni Muslim, and when he became the king, he wanted to enforce his personal religious belief, that he wanted to convert every subject in his kingdom into Muslim, and wanted to make India an Islamic country. And for this, his subjects were not happy with him, and as a result, they revolted. The Rajputs, the Satnamis. Now, the Satnamis were a very liberal and cool-minded people who lived in and around Delhi at the time. The Jats of Mathura were the first to revolt. Then the Sikh. So these were some who revolted against Aurangzeb because of his religious policy. And this religious policy of Aurangzeb also led to the downfall of the Mughal Empire, because these tribes or community, they revolted, and as a result, Aurangzeb has to spend much of his time suppressing this revolt, which led to the downfall of the Mughal Empire. The next was expansion policy. Now, just like other Mughal king, Aurangzeb also wanted to expand his empire. So, he in fact defeated many kings and annexed those kingdoms to his empire and made his empire very large. And it became very difficult for him to rule or to look after. And unlike Akbar, one of the greatest Mughal king, Aurangzeb was lazy. He spent most of his time in Deccan and did not look after what's happening in the other part of his country, of his kingdom. And as a result, the local governors of those of in his kingdom, they revolted against him and declared themselves independent. So this was also a reason for the downfall of the Mughal Empire. So we have discussed about Babur, how he had established a strong empire in India. Then we have also discussed about Humayun, Akbar, Jahangir, Shah Jahan and Aurangzeb. Now, even after Aurangzeb, there were many Mughal rulers who ruled India, but the one that we have discussed were some famous and important Mughal rulers. And out of them, Akbar was the greatest Mughal king. Now we shall discuss about the Mughal administration. The first thing that you have to remember, that every Mughal king considered himself as representative of God. That means the Mughal king, are being sent to rule over the subject by God. And for that reason, the kings were also treated like God by the subjects. Subject means the people. Then secondly, Mughal kings, they enjoy absolute power. There is no one is above the king. Whatever decision is being made by the king is the final decision. Then the Mughal kings did not have any regular minister or any regular council of minister. That means whenever the king wanted to change, they can change or replace any minister. Then the Mughal kingdom or empire was divided into Subbas, which means provinces, which now we can compare it with modern states. Subbas, you can say, states. Then further, these Subbas or provinces were divided into Sarkars, which can be called as districts. And then these Sarkars or districts were further divided into Parganas, which can be known as villages. So this was how the Mughal empire or kingdom was divided into Subbas, then Subbas into Sarkars, and Sarkars into Parganas. Okay. Then, if you remember, Akbar had introduced a new system known as Mansabdari system. So the Mughal also introduced the Mansabdari system. And in this system, every officer was given a rank according to his status. That is, whosoever has the highest number of soldiers or horses or elephants is given the highest rank. And the salary of the officer or the mansab was also given according to his rank. The next, land was classified, that is agricultural land, now not on the basis of size, but according to yield. You know what is yield? That is, even if a small piece of land produces more crops, then that person has to pay more taxes. So size of the land is not a matter, but the main thing is upon the produce. And lastly, tax was collected in both cash or kind. Remember, cash or kind? Cash means you have to pay your tax in money, that is coin, or kind, that means in the form of your crops. Now we shall learn about agriculture during the Mughal period. Now, as you all know that in the medieval period, the main economy was agriculture. So, as a result, main occupation was agriculture. That is, people mostly during the Mughal period were engaged in farming, and these farmers who were engaged in farming, they had to completely or totally depend for water on rain, and if there is no rain, then they fail crops. So the Mughal king, they also know that if the agriculture or crops fail, they won't get tax. So to uplift or to enhance and make agriculture better, the Mughal kings, they also dug wells and built canals so that the people can irrigate their field. But not much was done to improve the agriculture during the Mughal period. Then, during the Mughal rule, we all know that war generally takes place between among several kings. So, constant war and rebellion did great harm or destroyed the crops. So what? War and revolt destroyed the crops. Also, wild animals harm the cultivation. Now you may think, how come wild animals? Because at the time there were plenty of jungles by the field side. So wild animals and wars and revolt occasionally used to destroy the crops. Then the tax. Land tax was quite high, and because of this, the condition of the farmers was quite miserable. Now let's recall what we have learned. So we learned about Aurangzeb, who sat on the throne in the year 1658 AD. Then we also learned that what? During the medieval period, there used to be war of succession. Then we learn about Aurangzeb's religious policy, expansion policy, and his death. So when did he die? He died in the year 1707. And after Aurangzeb's death, slowly or gradually, the Mughal Empire started to decline. Then we also learn about Mughal administration and about agriculture. Now at the end of this video, I'm going to put some questions, and just like the previous ones, you have to find out those answers and then write it down in your fair copy. And be very clear and specific, and don't write your answers too long. Be very clear and specific with the answer.